Hello, you are listening to From Maclay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Episode 43, Slimming, letters 137 to 139. For those of you who listen to the episodes when they first come out, did you catch the bit in the news the next week about Mount Fuji? I thought it was hilarious that a 27-year-old male student from China had to be rescued twice in the same week from Mount Fuji. He fell ill, understandably, from the altitude, was helicoptered out, and then went back, wait for it, for his phone. Oh, what Peg would have to say about that guy. And I'm sure the expense, when I last read about it, they were going to try to make him pay for the second rescue. I'm happy to say that school is out and I can be a full-time podcaster for a while. You can look forward to some new episodes. Bern's poetic descriptive skills are on point when she describes a beautiful evening at Atama. I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did. She was quite a storyteller. Let's get started. Letter 137 from Bernice, written the 12th of August, 1954. Hi, kids, as Susan would say. You've probably received a letter from Peg telling about the Fuji climb in detail, but I just want to tell you that I have never seen that neat, immaculate youngest daughter of yours so dirty. I hope some of the pictures reflect that. She was quite a sight. However, she and Gladys both survived the ordeal in fine shape and seem to have suffered no drastic after effects. To continue the last letter, the tea ceremony was most interesting. About 12 young girls from a nearby school, dressed in their bright-colored kimonos and accompanied by a very old Buddhist priest, who is their teacher, demonstrated the ritual, and then we were invited to join them. We sat on the floor, and in a very quiet, slow series of graceful movements, were served a plate of sweet cookies, which we were told to eat first to offset the very bitter taste of the tea. This tea is prepared right in front of us, the water being heated on an ancient and picturesque hibachi, in this case a carved iron pot-bellied container into which charcoal had been placed, and then a small grate, and then the cooking utensils with water is placed on top. The tea used in this ceremony is of the powdered variety. A small amount was placed in the individual cup, which was really a small handleless bowl. The proper amount of water was added to the powder and then whipped into a green spinach-colored froth. This was done for each participant separately, and each one was served individually. No mass preparation, and then a mere pouring of the concoction. It is a ceremony. The recipient very slowly breaks off small bits of the cookies at a time, and when the cup is served, the proper method is to sip the entire amount in 3.5 sips. Turn the bowl around 1/2 turn and place it on the floor in front of you. The idea of the whole affair is the teaching of humility, self-control, and discipline. A very interesting and different contrast for hurry-up, rush-about-it, bustling Americans. I thoroughly enjoyed it and plan to go next month when they have another one so that I can initiate Peg and Gladys into the rites. For almost a year, two very interesting gentlemen have been in constant conversation, sitting on the footlocker at the foot of my bed in my room. Thinking that even two such philosophers as the Obadiah and the peasant friend with a sparrow might have run out of ideas and words by this time, I have added a fisherman to their group so that a new sphere of interest might be introduced. He can brag about his catch and discuss worms or flies or tackle, etc., to his heart's content, and the other two will probably be content to just sit and listen for a while. In case you haven't guessed, I'm talking about my Hakata dolls, which are clay figurines belonging to a group which depict almost every occupation of Japanese life. I just love them and hope to obtain a few more to bring home. The rest of this week is filled with interesting plans for me, so that it's very difficult to sit here at my desk and concentrate on the business at hand. This afternoon, Ginny Belts and I are going into Tokyo to get our hair cut. If I don't get cold feet in the meantime, I'm choosing a real short, very different style, and then we will shop a little. A new arts and craft place has been recommended to us, and then we had planned to have dinner at Kettle's German restaurant and come home. Tomorrow, right after work, I'm going with a group of girls to Tokyo again to attend a party at the Union Club, stay overnight, and then go on Saturday morning for the rest of the weekend to a Japanese hotel, bathe in a hot springs pool, wear our summer kimonos the entire time, even while strolling through town. This is a set custom in that little town, and since it is my first experience, I must be sure to remember two things. To lap the kimono in the reverse manner from the way we would do it in the States, because here, only a corpse is clothed that way, right side lapped over left. And the second, and very important, is not to tie the sash in the front, but in the back, because only prostitutes wear the tie in the front. Doesn't it all sound like fun? I'm really looking forward to it enthusiastically. The snapshots I'm enclosing were taken at Kathy Lockwood's birthday party, which I have already told you about. Aren't the children adorable? Kathy is the sweetest little ham you could imagine. She's always clowning, and that, combined with her extraordinarily deep voice for a child, furnished a lot of amusement. The Lockwoods are moving out here into the housing area near camp in a few months, so I hope to see more of her then. A real doll. The money order is the second of the installments I've already mentioned, this time made out to Helen-san. I shall be very angry and hurt if you do not accept them. Let's have no argument about the matter. The mail clerk has his hat on and the key to the box in his hands. I must fly. Sayonara for now. Love, Bern. Letter 138 from Peg. Written the 16th of August, 1954 from Camp Zama. Dear Mother and Daddy, well, the biggest thing in my life right now is that I'm on a diet. I was getting just too fat around the middle, particularly, so I started to get rid of it. The assistant club manager instituted the preparation and serving of the Mayo Clinic diet, supposedly one of the best. We can order it every meal, every day. You're not supposed to stay on it more than 2 weeks at a time, but I'm only counting on doing it 1 week. Now, here are some statistics. Thursday night, my waistline measured 28 inches. I started the diet on Friday and have stuck to it pretty faithfully, only slipping a little on the pieces of dry toast where allowed. Last night, Sunday, I measured the middle again and it's 26. Ain't that wonderful? I weighed in on Thursday. Today, I'm 111. I'm so proud of myself. I do get hungry every once in a while, and I sure look forward to the next meal. But I ate some extra bread tonight, and I feel stuffed. We eat a lot of eggs, boiled or poached, spinach, had steak twice, chicken, boiled halibut, fruit salad, and it's not at all hard to stick to it. Quite a few folks in camp have joined in this diet program with excellent results. By the way, Bern started on it today, and Gladys is 1 day ahead of me. All the Joes and Hans's gorging parties have taken their toll, I suppose, but I'm aiming for 108 to 110, and then I'm determined to stay there. Kathy and I went over to Atsugi to swim on Saturday afternoon. Bern went to Atama for the weekend, and Gladys didn't feel like going, so Kathy and I took off right after we ate our fruit salad. It was a mighty hot day, but the water was too warm to be enjoyable, so we mostly sunned ourselves. About 5:30, we put dresses on and went to the club to eat. I was allowed steak and salad with no dressing. After that was taken care of, the fun began. Atsugi had a beachcombers party that night, and it was some fun. This summer, the club built a swimming pool and patio right outside the club, and this is the first big shindig they had there. In the pool, they put an old beat-up rowboat, which, incidentally, one Japanese laborer was hired to sit in and bail out the water all evening. And there were sails in the boat, plus 2 underwater lights in the pool to make it look just lovely. All the lampposts were decorated with artificial flowers. Japanese lanterns were strung overhead, and the whole thing was very South Sea Islandish. As I said before, we had dresses on. Then some folks came in dressed in all kinds of outlandish beachcomber costumes. The fellows ran back to their billets for shorts, swimming suits, etc., and Kay and I were just too dressed. One of the fellows loaned Kay a pair of beat-up slacks and a shirt that was huge. And luckily, I had worn shorts and a shirt over to Atsugi, and I changed into them. So we danced in our bare feet to 2 wonderful orchestras, saw an excellent floor show, most of them stink, and when folks got too warm, they just went over to the pool and took a dip. Every time a fellow came up to our table, he'd look at me and say, "There's a fresh one," and they wanted to throw me in, but I told them I'd been in once and I was dry again, and they believed me, luckily. I remembered an acquaintanceship with one of the guys who I knew when the Marines first came to Atsugi, and always have liked him a lot. Bobby Long is his name, and I only hope you'll be hearing more about him. He's a real grand guy, but if things run true to form, he won't call me because I want him to. That's the way it always goes, so I'm used to it by now. The jerks keep pestering me, and the ones I like forget about me. It was so good to get letters from both of you today. Daddy, you're a buster. It's an extra treat to get a letter from you, and it was just full of chit-chat. I'll write you a letter whenever I have something in the middle of the week that's interesting. Since I don't have much time to goof off at work anymore, it's really a struggle to write letters by hand. However, I'll take time out from my busy social life some night this week and write to you. My job is okay, except that it's been very hot and sticky the past few weeks. The typhoon season has started. Okinawa is digging out from its first one now, and another one is heading in this general direction. We got about 5 minutes of rain this afternoon, the tail end of Typhoon Grace. Other than that, it hasn't rained for weeks. I did start to talk about work, didn't I? It's pretty interesting, and I'm busy 99% of the time. Since the bosses are interested in troop information, they're active in their work and keep things popping instead of the frustrated medics in MedSec who hated their jobs just as much as I did. So it makes quite a difference, and time goes by very quickly. I had another summer dress made, and it fits very well. I had to pay 2,300 yen to have it made, but it was worth it. I'll probably wear it to scrub floors, though, when I get home, although by our clothing standards over here, it's pretty sharp. To get back to the diet, this, I think, is funny. Lunch today was 2 eggs, either boiled or poached, a half a grapefruit, and tea or coffee without sugar. Gladys ordered a poached egg. I ordered 2 hard-boiled ones. When she got her eggs, they were served on a piece of dry toast, which is okay. Mine weren't even half hard-boiled, and they were served in a cup. I asked the waitress for a piece of dry toast because I couldn't just eat the eggs without it. She told me I couldn't have toast because it wasn't on the menu. So I told her that Gladys had toast and it was okay for me too. Then she called the head waiter, and he told me too that toast was a have a no. By darn, he was bound and determined that I was going to get that off that diet. And believe me, he wouldn't give me any toast either. Well, it just struck us so funny that they all got shook up over that toast, and they couldn't understand if it was okay for poached eggs, then it was okay for boiled eggs. Finally, I asked the assistant club manager to bring me a piece of toast and told him the story. We all got a big kick out of it, and he said that the Japanese help are going all out to make this diet successful for us. It was really cute, though. I have my Fuji stick prominently displayed on the wall in my room, and I have completely recovered from the ascent and descent. Heard today that the doc in the AFFE dispensary said that anyone who makes it to the top of Fuji doesn't have anything at all to worry about physically. So with my slenderizing program and the assurance that I'm in excellent physical condition, I feel pretty darn good. Take good care of yourselves and tell everyone I said hello. Love and kisses, Skinny. Ha. Enclosed is a package of toothpick of Kokeshi dolls. And they're just like little tiny paper dolls that are on toothpicks. Exit or letter 138B. Bern. Dear folks, have you ever slept on the screened balcony of a Japanese inn on a soft futon and been able to look at a full moon shining on the ocean, hear the roar of the surf as it breaks against the rocky coast, and by turning your head just a trifle, see whole rows of shrub pines, which are interesting enough in the daylight, but by moonlight become very mysterious, exotic, unexplainable patterns on the grass? This was my experience down at Atama, a typical resort town which offers all the natural beauty of the seashore, plus the gaudy commercial aspects of Atlantic City, if you go looking for them, which we didn't. It's the loveliest spot I've found yet in which to just be lazy. The ocean at that point is too rough for bathing, but the hotel has a large swimming pool right above the sea, and we spent all our time dressed either in bathing suits or the summer hotel kimonos, sitting around, swimming, sipping iced tea, and eating quantities of toast. Japanese food, except for sukiyaki, leaves me utterly cold. So except for Saturday night when we tried the steak, we limited ourselves to toast, tea, and cookies, which we brought with us. It was much too hot to eat anyway, so none of us minded. The sayonara party in Tokyo was very nice indeed, because it was held in the air-conditioned Union Club, which is very plush, and I'm always glad for an invitation to go there. But later, when I had to sleep at the girls' billet, the Osaka, it was really rugged. The rooms were so hot, and Tokyo is bothered badly with mosquitoes this year. The desk clerk gave us each a bottle of insect repellent to apply, but that didn't help too much. It was a horrible night, and I have been rejoicing ever since that we do live and work at Atama. I believe the Tokyo summertime is worse than New York. Ugh. When we were in Tokyo on Thursday afternoon to get our haircuts, Ginny and I went to the CinemaScope movie Night People. It was very good. If you can stand the noise and bigness of a CinemaScope feature, please go see it. Gregory Peck is the star, and the background of the plot is the tremendous job which our Army Provost Marshal office does in the recovering of service people who are kidnapped and taken into the Russian sector of Berlin. The suspense is built up step by step until each member of the audience thinks that they must do something to help. In this day of mediocre or poor movies, this is a standout. Do see it if possible. Papa-san, I was so pleased to receive the letter from you. The clippings in both my letter and Peg's are all going to be copied into my notebook, for they are all worthwhile and inspirational. I'm jotting down some notes now of things I want to specifically tell you about, so later this week I will answer your letter directly. The office people appreciated the 2 jokes you sent. Cash a check, C-Z-E-C-H, and ulcer indeed. You're really a character. You ought to send those to Barbie. You know she likes jokes. We sent Anime some of those pajamas from Hong Kong because we are smitten with them and think they make nice presentos. Christmas will really present problems this year because so many things which seemed cute or novel last year appear as junk to us now, and it will be difficult to select things and still have ideas left as take-home gifts in July. I'm sure Elwood's death is a blessing, and we can rejoice that he will have no more suffering. This is much easier for us to think and say from our rather detached point of view than for Ray, I'm sure. I do hope this whole business coming all at once will not completely upset her. Peg, Gladys, and I are currently advocates of the Mayo Clinic diet, which is being served daily at the Officers Club. They began last week, so they have a head start on me. In fact, each of them has lost 5 pounds. It is the ideal time, being too hot to eat anything anyway, and the ideal way to diet. We all sit together and eat the same things. No tempting desserts or forbidden dishes to entice us, and you, Helen, do not have the nuisance of preparing 2 sets of foods for each meal. The maximum time recommended for this diet is 2 weeks, so I'm sure I will have that much willpower. We'll let you know the results later. It's a good time to do from another standpoint, too, and that is no trips or activities are planned until Labor Day, so we can take it real easy in the process. You've been asking for more pictures, and we will oblige, but how about a few new snapshots of you two? Sit on the back porch and let Bill or Margaret or Mrs. Jacob take a series of snaps. I'd love to have them, and besides, I want to change the decoration of my room, and I have an idea for a rogues gallery of pictures. Care to join the rogues? I hope Peg sends you a copy of Gladys's account of their Fuji trip. It is really a masterpiece. She's a very articulate gal with a memory for appropriate quotations. I know both of you would like her. She has a lot of character. Of all the folks I've met, she is the most, in every way. We've promised to visit her and her dad at his cabin in the Tennessee mountains, and we're certainly counting on her coming to 526 Maclay someday. When next you hear from me on payday, the 25th, I expect to be several pounds lighter. Lots of love, Bern.
So when is a person dead? The Victorians believed it was when breathing stops, or when the soul departs, when no one remembers the person, or when their name is no longer uttered. Coming in the fall of 2025, explore my father's side of the family. It also happens to be President William McKinley's. Join me, Lavinia, Katie, Elsie, Hazel, Blaine, and David for Deep Below, a new podcast by Cussewago Productions, available wherever you get your podcasts and at www.deepbelowpodcast.com.
Letter 139 from Peg. The 19th of August, 1954. Written from work. Well, here I am. Never thought I'd get time to knock off a letter to you while at work, but the honchos are all out to chow, and I don't have anything pending until I get the stuff for the news summary this afternoon. So I'm just going to take time and write to you. Further, I have something to say, even though it isn't Monday. We're right smack in the middle of a typhoon. Interesting, nay? I was going to write to you about what it feels like to be in a typhoon, etc. last night, but Gladys and I had a huge gab fest in my room until after midnight. Bern put in her 2 cents for about an hour and a half, too, so I didn't get it written then. So here I go now. There are 2 typhoons in the area, Grace and Helen. Okinawa always gets hit much harder by them than we do. And we got reports from Okinawa a few days ago that they were battened down for the big blow. Yesterday afternoon, the sky began to get dark and cloudy, although the entire time the typhoon is going on, the weather doesn't get any cooler, and the wind is so refreshing. So about 15:30, we got an order to secure all the screens in the windows in the offices and be sure that the windows were locked tightly when we left. Right after work, we went up to the club to eat, and while so doing, it poured for about 10 minutes. Then it cleared up a little, not much wind, until 2200 when it started to blow takusan again. My room is on the side of the building opposite to the way the wind was blowing, and take it from me, there was more wind going on in my room than there was outside. This morning it started raining about 0700 and rained intermittently until about 11:30. Right now the sun is shining, no rain, but the winds are still kicking it up. The winds were supposed to be about 25 miles per hour in this vicinity, although they were up to about 100 miles per hour in Okinawa. That takes care of Grace. She'll soon put out to sea and wear herself out in the Pacific somewhere, and then we'll have to wait and see what kind of visitor Helen is. On my desk right now is some correspondence published by the TI&E section on Okinawa. One of the publications is titled Ladies of the Pacific, an information bulletin on how to make proper preparations for typhoonizing your quarters, offices, etc. It's very cleverly written, referring to the typhoons as real live women who swish their skirts, and the ladies are spoken of in that manner throughout the entire booklet. Our TI&E section thought it was so well written that we wrote up a letter of commendation for the editors and writers of it, and they certainly deserve it. Like I said, we don't get visits from the ladies nearly so badly as RICOM, the Rikayas Command. Okinawa is one of these islands, and when you read in your newspapers that so many people are dead, missing, etc., from such and such typhoon in Japan, you can rest assured that it ain't us. The folks who are so badly hit are the natives who live in their flimsy huts near rivers or on the coastline, and most of the floods and freaks of nature with water happen in southern Japan, which is a separate island from Honshu, which is the island on which we live. The main island is Hokkaido up north, the northernmost tip of which is in sight of the Russian mainland. The biggest item in the news summary today was the news that 4 U.S. divisions are going to be pulled out of Korea, in the dim view that the Republic of Korea is taking of this development. Pop, I certainly am a firm believer in combating communism wherever it may strike, but why in the Sam Hill does the ROK think that the U.S. is there to protect them and more or less lose sight of the other places throughout the world where the communists could just as easily start another Korea? I asked Colonel Snavely today why we were pulling out of Korea, and he said that we have many more guns, tanks, planes, and ships than the communists, but we are sadly lacking in manpower. So we feel it is best to place our troops in other strategic areas instead of centralizing them all in one spot, such as Korea. I'm very much interested in the world situation because I type up the news summary twice a day, and after a while, the different items begin to seep into my brain. I'm far from being anywhere near well informed, but I do know enough to get damn mad at the Britons with their cries of coexistence and trade with Red China, and no obligation to defend Formosa. Aside from me, Formosa was a short-lived republic that existed on Taiwan. Sure, they're flat broke and every dollar in trade helps to raise their economy, but just wait until they can't get along with the communists. I hate them so bad I won't even call them commies. And they'll come running to good, rich, powerful Uncle Sam. My opinion, take it for what it's worth, probably nothing. And furthermore, who was it who said recently that in the past decade the U.S. has spent more on foreign aid than ever before, and we've lost more friends? Daddy, if living over here is any example of seeing how Americans are regarded by other nations, it's pretty sad. We're the rich Americans, and that goes for any of us. Regardless of whether you're a private or a general, these people have been spoiled terrifically. We cater to them, give them what they want in too many instances, and to quote Colonel Snavely, I sometimes wonder who actually did win the war. Americans are the most, that's for sure. But Daddy, we're an awfully adolescent, immature bunch of people, and the Japanese know that too. And although they give us bows and smiles and respect that they think that we should have, you know good and well that they are laughing at us behind our backs because we're such pushovers. The Americans came in here with their candy and chewing gum, stateside clothes and the PXs, and all the other things that we take so much for granted in the States, and it simply overwhelmed the people. After the first shock of so much wealth wore off, it didn't take the Japanese long to figure out angles to get as much as possible from us, and they're still getting it. I really think it would be much better for them to have someone like MacArthur in command, but since the truce was signed, we're only visitors here, learning to live and work together as good neighbors, blah, blah, blah. But they're still trying to get as much as they can, and we keep giving it to them. Oh well, enough dissertation on world affairs. I went off my diet a skosh, but the waistline is still 26 inches and the weight 110. So I'm going to eat sensibly for a while. No sugar, squishy bread, etc. And maybe I'll lose another pound or two. I feel great though. Weather report, no sun, wind still blowing, and rain again. That's our grace for you, very unpredictable. Wonder what Helen will be like. Betty has resigned and Mary was sick yesterday, so I was the only steno in the office. I was quite busy, but it wasn't a rushing day, and I enjoyed it. This job sure has it head and tails over that silly one in med section. This morning I typed some stuff on objectionable literature being sold in the PXs, a publicity release on the national rifle matches at Camp Perry, Ohio, some printing estimates, and had a lot of telephone calls about the Boy and Girl Scouts who are camped out near a lake about 5 hours away. Two of my colonels have sons and or daughters at camp, and they were wondering whether the tents had blown over. They had. And the Boy Scouts were taken to the Fuji View Hotel, where the girls will be brought back to Tokyo tomorrow after staying at Camp McNair tonight. So you can easily see that there's never a dull moment, and it's interesting. Okay, no more paper. Got to get to work anyhow. Lots of love, and write soon again. Signed, Gabriel Heater. So I looked up Gabriel Heater. Gabriel Heater was an American radio commentator whose World War II era sign-on was, "There's good news tonight." And it became both his catchphrase and his caricature. Peg was certainly critical of the Japanese in this letter. I wish she had given some examples of why she thinks the Americans were being taken advantage of. I'm not sure I know enough about history to understand her stance on this. This week I found and purchased the doll that Bern talks about, the man holding a sparrow. It's one of the Hakata figures that I remember from my childhood. It has taken on new meaning since she explained that there were few birds in Japan when they were there because so many were eaten during the war. I'm going to have to see if I can access the movie Night People. I've always been a big Gregory Peck fan, and it looks pretty interesting. So school is out, and I usually try to eat better and exercise more in the summer anyway, but I was inspired by their talk of slimming, although I question why Peg needs to lose weight if she weighs 115 pounds, and she was maybe 5'2", 5'3" at the most. Anyway, I checked out the modern version of the Mayo Clinic Diet, complete with app. Well, I started it on Monday of this week, and I've lost 6 pounds. So looks like I'm getting the same kind of results they are. Basically, the dogs are the real winners here because there have been more and longer walks, and like Peg, I feel great with all this exercise. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMcClayToZama.com, where I posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Bern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.